I seen something dark black walk from a big beech tree on the ridge over about 15 foot to a big old oak tree. And I'm standing there shaking my head saying, did I just see what I seen? I knew exactly what my eyes was seeing. It was a big old large human looking thing with covered black hair.
This is the Cryptid Creature Show. I am Brian, and with me right over there, as always, is my co-host Todd. What's up, buddy?
Man, how you doing today? What's going on with you?
Oh, not much, same old, same old.
Tonight's guest comes from the Salt Fork area of Ohio.
Ah, good old Ohio.
Yeah, we've been to Salt Fork. That's a really cool area.
It's a beautiful park.
A lot of encounters go on in that area, obviously.
Indeed they do.
Next time we're there, we're going to make sure we get some more hiking done. We did a little bit of hiking and filmed that. We put that out on the group page. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to go down a really, really good trail that we were looking for. But it started raining.
It was raining hard that day.
It poured rain hard, so next time we're there, we'll get it. But tonight we're going to bring Tim on. And Tim has had, I think, some interesting things happen to him and an encounter or two maybe in Salt Fork State Park.
All right.
So let's bring him on and see what happened to him. You ready?
Yep, let's get him. Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for being on the show and talking to us tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
You are welcome.
Yeah, pleasure having you.
So where are we talking to you from? Where you at?
I'm in Plymouth, Ohio.
You had a Bigfoot encounter, correct?
I had several.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't you start with the first one and then tell us everything from there.
Well, the first one, the full body one was in 2021. It would have been in last part of April of that year. And we was down at State Park, Salt Fork. We went down to an area, which I ain't going to disclose the location for the area because then people overrun it. But we parked in the parking area and got out of the car, and my wife and me walked out on to the behind the car, and she got some stuff out of the car, and then she walked down toward there's a beach-like area there, and I stood behind the car, was smoking a cigarette and was watching the hill, which would have been in front of me. And I'm watching, there was a ridge that went up from there. Used to be a dead end road. I mean, it used to be a road and they dead ended it when they made the lake. And I was standing there watching the hill, and this was probably about 12 o'clock in the day. And, I seen something dark black walk from a big beech tree on the ridge over about 15 foot to a big old oak tree. And I'm standing there shaking my head saying, did I just see what I seen? Because this would have been my first encounter that I knew exactly what my eyes was seeing. And it was a big old large human looking thing with covered black hair. I'd never knew much about Bigfoot at the time because I never watched any of the movies and stuff until Finding Bigfoot come out and stuff like that. I seen it go behind the oak tree. I stood there finishing my cigarette thinking to myself, should I holler for her to come up here, or should I just wait and go get her and then come back up there and show her where I seen it? So I decided to just walk down and get her and come back up there and put her right in front of me where I was standing when I was smoking my cigarette, and where I seen it go from one tree to the next, and I showed her where it was. And then she said, well, let's walk down the dead end road here and see what we can see anymore or see anything else. So we started walking down through there, and there was a log laying across the road. And she said, well, watch, because I have to walk with a cane because my back's bad and my legs don't want to work that good. And she said, well, watch, don't trip over that log when you cross it. And I got over it, and we went down through there, and I kept watching because I hunted most of my life until I ain't able to walk to do it now. And I was watching down the side of the hill, down beside the road down through there to see what kind of animals was coming off the hill, what kind of trails they was leaving to come to get water. I seen this one area, all the leaves and all the greenery was wore off, and then I'm like, yeah, here's a trail of something coming off. So I stood there and was looking up and down that embankment there, looking for what kind of tracks was in it. And she started walking on down. And she got probably 100 feet from me and stopped, and I was still looking, and I didn't see no deer tracks in the slide. It's what I call a slide. And she said, hey. I said, what? She said, I see one. I said, you see what? She said, I see one up there by a tree. And I said, well, where's your phone? She said, in my back pocket. So she got her phone out and started taking pictures, and I said, well, I'll work my way to you, and got down there, and here it was a little bitty one. It was probably about 3 foot tall, and it was right beside of a beech tree. Just as I got there, I heard like a mouth pop, like you pop your mouth, and the little thing went around the tree and disappeared. We kept walking down through it real slow and watching the hillside to see if we could see anything else move. Never seen nothing. And we come back up toward the car, and she said, well, let's go over to another area and look around and see, because this is the first time we'd ever been to that park. And so we got in the car and went to a different area, and we was gone probably up in that area about an hour and 45 minutes, looking around, checking everything out. Then we came back to the area where I seen the first one and she got pictures of the little one. We come back to there, and we went back down toward the dead end road of it, and there's a guardrail blocks you so right at the end of the parking area, so you can't go down no farther. So we went around the guardrail, and there where the log was laying across the road. Here that log was broke in 3 pieces and laying over to the side, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, that was just across the road an hour or something ago. How did this get from there and then broke into 3 pieces and moved over to there? And I kept looking at it. There was no axe marks, no kind of saw marks or nothing. It just been like when you break a stick, put it down on the ground and pull it up with your hands, and it snaps in two. And it was broke in 3 pieces, about 5 to 6 foot long. And this log is probably 10 inches around. At least a 10-inch log. Ain't no human being can break him. And so went on down to where the slide come off the hill. I was standing there watching, looking at it again. Well, here I found a footprint of a small one, which was, I think it was like 8 inches by about 4.5 inches wide. Then I looked just to the right of that, and here was one. It was about 17 inches and about 7.5 inches wide. And I'm like, now them tracks wasn't there when we was here earlier. And I said, evidently they come off the hill while we was gone and went back up the hill. And I'm like, there's human looking footprints, but 4 times bigger than a human, except for the smaller one. Barefooted footprints. You could see the toes in them. And we walked on down through there. This would have been 2:30, 3 o'clock in the evening by that time, because time we went to the other place and come back. And never seen nothing moving on the hill or anything. So we come up, and there was back by the parking area, there's a little ditch, creek, whatever you want to call it. It comes down from a cave area. But in between the ditch and the hill, there was a pushed up area where the park pushed it up, cleaning it up because it looked like it had a lot of debris and stuff. And she said, well, let's walk up in this area. I said, yeah, that'd be a good place to look for tracks because it's all bare ground. We're walking up in this area looking for tracks. She's on one side of the skidder track, on the outside skidder track, and I'm in the middle, walking up the middle looking, and she's probably 10 or 15 foot in front of me. And I seen a bunch of deer tracks there, but I didn't see nothing else. And she goes, hey, babe, come here, look. She said, here's one standing right up here. And so I started over toward her, got it over by her, and I was looking, and she was trying to point the tree out where it's standing by. And she said, what? You probably can't see it from where you're standing because I was been on her right side. She said, here, get right here in front of me and look straight in front of you when you get here. So I stepped over in front of her and looked, and there it stood. It was a big female, a big black female. She was probably 8.5 foot tall. She was standing there, and she had her phone out trying to get pictures of it. She got a couple pictures of her, and she said to me, I wonder if she'll let me get any closer so I can get a better picture, because all we had was her phone at that time. And I said, as soon as you start moving up toward her any bit, she's gone. My wife made a couple of steps forward trying to get closer, and she went around behind the tree, and I don't know where she went after that. Never seen her no more. But that was the first encounter in April. Then we went, they was having a camp out that weekend, and we went to the camp out. Then we come back the next day, and we ended up buying some honey buns, and we took them down there to an area and put them there. And we went to another area after that for a while, drove around the park looking at things, and then we come back to where we put the honey buns that evening, and they was all gone. So I don't know what took them or whatever, but there was no wrappers or nothing left. Oh yeah, and we had a 3-pound bag of apple we left there poured out with the honey buns, and come back, and there was only 2 out of 3 pounds of apples that was left. And that was my first real sighting to know what I was looking at, was them that weekend.
And that all happened in Salt Fork State Park?
Yeah.
Were you close enough to see any kind of details of any of the faces of these creatures?
No, not face, but I could tell the one at the female, we could tell she was female. She had big breasts sticking out and stuff. Then it would have been in April of that year, 21. We went back down because they was having another weekend camp out. Another group was. Then we was already hooked. We was hooked on looking for them after the first time. After we seen the first ones, we got hooked. We're still hooked. But it would have been May of 21, we went back down. It'd been, I think it was like I'm going to say the weekend of the 15th through the 17th or something like that, I think it was. It was before the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. When we went back to the same area, took them honey buns, put them back where we put them the first time with the apples, and as she was walking away from there, one pushed over a tree, just would have been to the left of her, and we'd bought a camera, but before we went, a couple weeks before we went again, and she had it on her, and she turned around and she got a picture of it running up a hill. It was a big brown with a little bit of reddish tint mixed in it. It was running uphill, and she got a picture of it running up the hill. Then we come on up the dead end and never seen nothing else, but went back the next day, and there was all the honey buns were gone again. And then I think it was that time we got I think we got a picture of the female with a little one that was sitting in the bushes up the hill from where they come down the first time where the footprints were. But yeah, I have pictures of their face. That's all you can see above the bushes.
You're listening to the Cryptid Creature Show. If you're a fan of the show, go and check out our new Patreon site. You'll get access to our private Discord server, exclusive merchandise, access to all live streams and Q&As, discounts on merch from the Cryptid Creature store, and get a chance to be a guest host during one of the show's recordings. Just go to www.patreon.com/cryptidcreatures1. Thank you for listening and supporting the show.
If you don't mind, if you still have them, send us those pictures and we can post them out there on our group page when we
Well, we're on
release the episode.
our group page, so if you can know how to go in there and copy them from there.
What's your group page, Tim?
Ohio Bigfoot Researchers.
Okay. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I'm on
we
that
started a group back in October.
group. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we'll check it out. So what made you go down to Salt Fork? Were you going down to look, obviously, for Bigfoot, you said?
Well, we heard about they was having a Bigfoot meeting, camp out, and we joined we was online and found this group that was having the camp out, and we decided, well, the whole time I hunted and stuff, I always wanted to go to Salt Fork to deer hunt, and never did get nobody to go with because I don't drive. And I'm like, we ended up getting some money, and I said, let's go for a weekend. Let's go to Salt Fork. I said, they say there's Bigfoot down there, which at the time I didn't believe in them. But, I mean, I had a couple of incidents in the woods that I didn't know what it was. But I hunted ever since I was probably 12 years old. I'm 57 now. But, yeah, we've had quite a few encounters with them down there. And we got quite a few pictures, which I say they're posted in the Ohio Bigfoot Researchers group.
What kind of incidents happened to you when you're out hunting? What happened?
Well, I would have been 16, 17 years old, still in the area here where I live. It would have only been about 7 miles from here because I've lived here this area here since I've been 16 years old. And we was hunting on a neighbor's property one night. It was me and two of my brothers, and we had 2 black and tan dogs. And we had something that kept walking around us in the woods. And we all 3 had coon hunting lights that would shine a couple hundred feet. And the dogs come and got in between our legs and with all their hair standing up on their back. And we thought somebody was in the woods trying to play a joke on us, but it kept circling us and we never could see what it was. But couldn't get the dogs to hunt no more. Then out here, where I hunted deer at for years and years, it's a wildlife area. It's almost 1,700 acres. Me, and it would have been my nephew, my wife's cousin's husband, and his son, which his son would have been about 13 at the time. This would have been, I think it was like 2002. It was in October, right, a couple of days right before Halloween. We was deer hunting, bow hunting. And I was sitting in this little area where the deers would travel through, and my nephew would have been to the southwest of me in a deer stand, and her cousin and his boy would have been up the road about 300 yards back in the edge of the woods and the edge of a field watching for deer. And I was sitting there by myself, and I was set down between 3 trees that was growed together. I had the wind blowing from the northwest into my face, so the deers come from the north. I'm sitting there, and it's like 5 o'clock in the evening. You can hunt till like 5:25. And I see this deer coming across this field and 2 fawns, and I'm like, well, if I get a shot at the doe, I'll take the doe. But if I don't, I ain't shooting one of them little fawns. I kept sitting there, and they was just picking around and looking around, and then almost the doe, her ears went straight up, and she was looking, which would have been southeast over my right shoulder, and I'm like, she sees something moving. I thought it might have been my nephew moving around, she's saying. Then I started hearing these whoops, and I'm like, what the heck is that making that noise? It did it like 2 times. Then it's a couple minutes later, it did it 2 more times, but it kept getting closer and closer. And I'm like, there shouldn't be nobody out here running deer. It's bow season. And it was about 10 after 5 to 15 after 5. It was just getting dark, and the deers were still picking around in front of me, but I never could get a shot at the doe. And she was on alert the whole time. And all at once, she just snorted, reared up on her hind legs, and did a 180 and hit the ground and took off flying back the way she came. And the 2 fawns went behind her. And it was probably 35, 40 seconds later, this thing was over to, which would have been southeast of me, over to my right, closer to where my nephew was. This thing let out 3 big whoops. And I'm like, what the heck's going on here? I've never heard nothing like this in the woods. And I've been hunting, that would have been in 2002. So I'd been hunting almost 30 years. And I'm like, I ain't never heard nothing like that. So it was almost getting too dark to shoot then, because like I said, you only could hunt to like 5:25. And so I come back out to the car that was parked on the road, and I seen that her cousin and his son was coming out to the car, seen their interior light come on in their car. And then they come down there to where I was at and asked me, did I hear that noise and that whooping and carrying going on? I said, yeah. I said, what do you think it is? I said, can't be people. It's bow season. Ain't nobody going to be out here walking and hollering in the woods. And we ended up, my nephew finally come out after dark, and he's really spooked. And we all decided to go to my wife's cousin's house, and we looked it up on the computer, and here it was a Bigfoot whoop. And I'm like, really? Man, that's crazy. Which that's only about 6 miles from my house, out west from my house. That's where we go and do research now.
Do you live in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains? Would you consider yourself in the foothills?
No, it's flat around here. It's flat here. It's mostly farmland. You got wood patches here, but if you go down towards Salt Fork, then you get back into the edges of the Appalachian Mountain.
Yeah, there's so much activity that goes on at Salt Fork, and we were just there at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference a few months ago there in early summer, spring.
Yeah,
May.
Yeah, beautiful park.
Yeah, and for as many people that go there and go looking for Bigfoot, I'm surprised that there's still as much activity as there is, but for some reason, it's a stable home for these creatures, I'm guessing. Oh,
yeah, they stay there year round. Yeah, we've had a lot of incidents there.
What do you think it is about that place? Is it just, are there so many cave systems there that they can hide in, or is it something else? Well,
they have the caves. They have a real big population of deer, and then they have the lake that they stock periodically. So they got plenty of food.
It's a state park, so they're pretty well protected too. I mean,
yeah, they have hunting areas, but the areas where a lot of their sightings is the public areas.
Which tells you how smart they are to stay out of the hunt.
Yeah, they're smart. They're definitely smart.
Well, for sure.
And maybe not too shy.
Well, the ones that we see down there, they try to stay just where you get glimpses of them through the trees and through the brush. Now, the female, she showed herself to us 2 or 3 times.
They must be familiar with people, and they tend to just be more open about themselves there. I don't know.
Well, they have a lot of interaction with people because there's a lot of hiking trails and all that. So they're constantly seeing people there. Then you have all these Bigfoot groups that's going down there and researching, and so they're dealing with people constantly. And then you got people on boats, so they're not as shy as somewhere else.
Yeah, Brian and I went on a trail when we were there, found a cave, but it was kind of inaccessible. It was just kind of across a creek and up on the side of this hill. Yeah, it was out of our reach. Yeah, I wasn't going to mess with it. And but then on our way home from the conference, we said, we're going to stop. we were told from a friend of ours about, you got to do this trail. You got to do this trail. So we're going to stop and we're going to take this trail. And man, as soon as we found that trail, it just started
pouring down rain.
Barrels. I said, I'm going to go run and check this trail out. So I ran about, 30 yards across this field, got soaking wet, and started looking down this trail. And it was really, really, really cool. Mystical looking, Sherwood Forest kind of looking, if you could imagine that, what that would look like. But yeah, I was kind of bummed, really bummed we didn't get to go check it out.
Well, we will be back.
Trail did you go on?
What was the name of that one? I don't remember.
I want to say it started with an M. It's kind of when you're
Morgan's Knob.
Yeah.
Yes.
Morgan's Knob. That's the one.
Yeah, that's a good trail to see one, but you need to get off trail there to see one, because this April, they just casted a footprint there just off in Morgan's Knob's trail.
Really?
Yeah, we got a footprint cast over by the Buckeye Trail at the group camp this April. It's 21 inches long by 7.5 inches wide.
That's a good sized print.
Wow, yeah, that's a big one.
There's a lot of activity around that group camp. When they have the group campouts, if you pay attention, you'll see them come out and watching people.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, next year when we go to that conference, Brian, we're going to have to go a day early.
Yep.
Now, 2022, they was working on the bridge down there on the main park road. So we didn't get to go to the area where we go to. So we didn't do much in 2022 except out here in the area where we go out here. And I did get a picture of one out here in this area where we research out here. Now, I have a whole album of pictures, but they're hard copies that I got printed off.
That's right. We'll get them off.
I got like 30. Some of them I didn't post in the group because they're just a little bit blurry. But I do have good, clear pictures of the ones that are posted.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm excited to check them out now.
Yeah, me too. You got another encounter you had down there?
Yeah, we had one. It was still in 21. It would have been because we went down in September and October, because they had two different meetings there at the campgrounds. They had group campouts, and the one had everybody who was at the campground, the campout, decided to split up and go on investigations. And well, we all talked about where we was going and all this, and then there was me and my wife, and there was supposed to be 2 or 3 other people that was supposed to go up to the handicap area. We ended up getting up there to the handicap area. It was probably 10 minutes to 10, and nobody showed up. So we was just sitting there on the picnic table, and somebody just had left before it got dark because the charcoal grill was still glowing. They had hot charcoal going where they cooked out on it. And we was sitting there at the pavilion on a picnic table, and we was just sitting there. Then all over to would have been behind us, over behind the pavilion, the bathrooms. I think it would have been like to the west of us. There was a howl, and I'm like, we both heard it. We both looked at each other and said, well, there's a howl. And I was watching down toward the other pavilion that's straight in front of that pavilion. They got 3 pavilions out there, and 2 of them's on points out on the ridge on the point. And this one would have been straight to, if you're standing at the bathrooms, it would have been straight to the right down the walkway that way out on the point. And we were sitting there and watching down that way. And my wife looks at me and says, and there wasn't no crickets, no tree frogs, no kind of noise at all after that howl. I mean, it went dead silent. And she goes, we got company. And I said, what do you mean we got company? She said, we got company look over your left shoulder, which would have been to the one going out to the other pavilion area, which would have been out to my left. I turn and look. Here's one standing in the mowed grass just outside of the bush line. And I'm like, I had a flashlight, and I turned the flashlight around there and turned it on and pointed it at his legs. And I worked my way up to about mid-chest, and I'm like, I'm not going to hit him in the face, but it ain't going to make him mad. Standing there in the broad opening, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And it's only probably 50 to 60 feet from us. This thing is at least 5 foot across the shoulders. Its legs was probably as round as a 20-gallon grease drum. This thing's massive. You couldn't have put 3 NFL football players together to even made that guy. He was a big one. He's standing there, and I'm watching him. So she said, turn that light off. Don't make him mad. So I turned the flashlight off, and I turned back around and start watching back down toward the other pavilion. And then about every 2 to 3 seconds, about every minute and a half, I turn around and look and see where he's at. He's still standing there. And I'm like, he smells where they cooked out. He's wanting to come check it out, see if there's any food. Had to be a male as big as that thing was. And I shine my light back on him, go up about mid-chest. He's still standing there, and he's a big black one. And I'm like, buddy, you're all right. Don't get no closer than that. She said, turn that light out. You're going to make him mad. I turned the light out again. Turned back around, watching the other way. I turned back around and look. Well, he's moving closer now. He's getting brave. He comes about 10 or 12 foot closer. I hit him mid-chest with that light, and I say, hey, that's close enough. You're getting too close. And she keeps telling me, turn that light out. You're going to make him mad. So I turned the flashlight back off. Turned back around, watched the other way for about 30, 40 seconds because he's making me nervous now. He's moving. Turned back around, and he's about another 10 foot closer. And I'm like, he's getting pretty close now. He's only about 35 foot. And he's standing right there in the plane, out in the plane opening. I mean, no doubt about what's standing there. And she looks around at it, and she says, yeah, he is getting pretty close. And then all at once he goes, oh. I said, yeah, it's time to go. He smells this food, and he wants to check it out. And I said, it's time for us to leave. So me and her, I got up and headed to the car. I don't know. We just got in the car and we left. It was getting too close.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's a little too close.
Wanted some food, apparently.
Yeah, you could smell the hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff that they cooked out. And where they'd put it on the table, there was grease and stuff that run out of whatever they had it on.
You said before any of this ever started, you didn't believe in Bigfoot. Is that right?
I've seen a picture when I was in the 7th or 8th grade in a book. One of my friends at school brought to school. So I was raised in Kentucky, and you only got one TV channel down there. Back in the 70s, you didn't have nothing that's like national TV or nothing. You got one channel from Charleston, West Virginia, and I never know nothing about no Bigfoot or cryptid, dog men or anything like that. And I never did like watching horror movies and stuff like that. So growing up and stuff, no, I never knew nothing about no such thing as like that. Like I said, I didn't know nothing. I didn't pay much attention to it because I hunted and fished and stuff, and I didn't want to know if there's anything like that out there.
What do you think they're doing here?
Well, it's the last 3 to 4 years since I started really getting into looking for them and stuff, I think they're a human hybrid cross, like they tell in the Bible, Nephilim or Watchers. The ancient people, the Native Americans, they call them Big Brother. They say they're the ancient ones. I don't. But the ones that I've seen and the pictures I've got, they do look human. They don't. They're not ape looking. Their facial features are just bigger than ours, but they're human looking features. They have a human looking ear. Their nose shape is almost like ours, except it's bigger. Their eyes are bigger. Their mouth's bigger.
Yeah, people have described them to almost look like Aborigines.
They look partially like Aborigines from Australia or part Native American mix. But yeah, they look human-like.
So when's the next time you're going to get down to Salt Fork?
Next week.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
They're camp out from Sunday to the following Sunday. But I don't camp. We go out to the campground during the day. I mean the group camp during the day, but we stay at motel at night. But we run all over the park.
I like your thinking. I would probably want to do the same thing.
That's my way of camping too.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on the show, Tim, and telling us your encounters and experiences there in Ohio.
Yeah, those were great.
Oh, we have quite a few. We had some. We just was down there in April, and we was down there in June, and we've seen them then too. April, we had a lot of activity, even in the campground. There was, like I said, we got a print cast in the camp area, just outside the camp area, just off in the Buckeye Trail. And there was three prints that was casted that weekend, ours and two more, which we found one of the other ones that got casted. I think 2 days after that, there was 5 casted on the beach right before the conference.
Wow.
The day before the conference, they raked the beach to get rid of the footprints.
Really?
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to be sure to go onto your Facebook group, Ohio Bigfoot Researchers, for the listeners out there, and be sure to check out the photos that Tim's got on there.
We are now members
of different. Oh, I see one right now. I see a face. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was just looking at them too.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, they're in the featured, so you don't have to scroll all the way down the page. You just go to the featured, and they're in the featured items.
Gotcha. Well, thanks again for being on the show, Tim. We appreciate it again, sir.
Yeah, let us know if anything happens this coming up week.
All righty. And yes, I appreciate you asking me to come on the show and enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it as well.
It was a pleasure having you.
If you want to do another show for like other encounters and stuff, just let me know.
All right. Sounds good.
We sure will.
You need to come down to the one in September. There's going to be a camp out in September. It's going to be September 7th through the 10th. We're hosting it, and 3 other groups are hosting it. So there's going to be 4 different Bigfoot research groups there, and they're probably going to be close to 100 people, so you can get all kinds of encounter stories.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
that might not be a bad idea, Brian.
Yeah. Where's that? Can you send us the information, or is it on your page?
It's on our page.
All right, we'll check it out.
We will definitely check it out.
All righty.
All right, Tim, you have a good one, man.
Tim, we appreciate it. Thank you again.
You too. And when you get ready to put this up, can you send me a link so I can post it? Or can you post a link on the group page?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we do. Yep. We'll be sure to get it to you.
All righty.
All right, bud.
All righty.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tim.
You just have a nice evening.
You too.
You too.
See ya. Yeah, Salt Fork. Just got them everywhere, apparently.
I know, man. Apparently that place is loaded.
It is. There's something about that area. They must live there all year round. They must be,
especially that one main trail.
But we found that cave, so we know
did. That was odd.
We know there's some cave systems around there. Yeah, that environment's with all the deer. We saw the deer. I mean, there's plenty of deer there. So
yeah, we were 15 feet away from that deer.
They probably do some running from some Bigfoots around there, I'm guessing.
I'm sure.
Listeners, thanks for being here as always and listening to the show. Appreciate you guys always.
Yeah, we appreciate all of you.
Brian, my friend, great hanging out with you again.
Always fun, man. Always learning.
With that, we'll get out of here. What do you say?
Yep. See ya. You're listening to the Cryptid Creature Show with Todd and Brian. We're glad you're here, and we hope you're enjoying the show. Don't forget to visit our website at www.cryptidcreatures.net. By becoming a member, you'll get access to exclusive videos, members-only episodes, early, unedited, ad-free releases, and even a shout-out on an episode. Join us at www.cryptidcreatures.net, and thank you for supporting the show.